Hey, everybody, welcome back to Retro Wrestling. I'm Gene Jackson, and we have another tremendous show in store for you this week. I actually have not only a special guest, but I have a special guest host because my good buddy, Robb Helt, of course, you know him from Beyond Wrestling. You know him from Arc of an Angle on Friday nights, talking about world class Eric Embry versus General Skandar Akbar. You know him from his brand new Retro Wrestling Review World Class Championship Wrestling podcast, along with Scotty Wentz. They're killing it, covering 1982, and they're going to truck it right along through the entire history of World Class. But he set this interview up with our new buddy, Paul Neighbors. So I was like, hey, man, you got this thing going. I want you to join me. So he is going to be steering the ship. And of course, I'm going to be here along with him because I've got some questions for Paul. But first and foremost, before we introduce our guest, let's bring on the guest host. Here he is, the one, the only, Mr. Robb Helt.
There it is.
What's
hey,
up,
man, what's going on, Gene? I'm doing good, brother. I'm sitting in the garage tonight. Just got done with another interview. I was in the studio, but tonight we're going to use your studio because we didn't have anywhere else really to put this because Paul goes all over the map, man. He was, Jerry Jarrett is his cousin, his dad in the business. As you know, we can't say Paul Neighbors around BT or he takes his shirt off.
No, he starts dripping immediately.
This is all, and so Paul and I were talking online. Paul answered some questions for me. He was trying to help me get Eric Embry. And I said, Paul, you got to come on the show, dude, because you have got so many stories. Problem was, Gino, I didn't know what show to bring him on to.
Yeah. He covers a lot of bases, right? So.
He does, absolutely. And you know what? Without any further ado, let's bring him in, man. I want to talk to him. Hey, but don't let me forget to talk to him about his ultimate noodle. This is the neatest damn thing, and I just saw a video of it today that I got to talk about. Do not let me forget that.
All right, let me clarify what you just said because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Like, did you say you want me to remind you to talk about his ultimate noodle?
I do indeed. And you introduce it just like that, the ultimate noodle, and we'll take it from there, Gene.
All right. Well, here he is talking to us later on about his ultimate noodle. But first, I'd like to talk to him about some wrestling and his dad. Here he is, Mr. Paul Neighbors. Paul, how are we doing, sir?
My friend Paul. Paul, you know what? Fuck it. We'll just tell it right off the bat. Hey, Paul, what is the ultimate? Tell him about this gimmick. I told my wife about it today, and I said, babe, listen, I told my wife about Paul's.
We're talking about Paul's noodle.
Paul, we're popping Gene. Look at that.
We're getting off topic real quick.
Paul's like, please don't air this.
Tell them about your ultimate noodle, Paul. This thing is great. Kids can use.
Oh,
hey,
what are we doing? What is Ken Wayne fixing to pop on here in a minute?
We got to put an ass on ultimate noodles. Not noodles.
Oh, hell, he's got two of them, Gene. He's got two of them.
That's why it's the ultimate. I don't know what I'm picturing right now with like shoestrings tied around it and paint and like
Power Pro. We have a Randy Hale and a Randy Hales, and remember, you don't want to fuck with the plural Hales. This is the same thing. The ultimate noodle is fine, but you don't want to fuck with the ultimate noodles. Paul, seriously. So, Gene, you go fishing. You've had a bobber, right, on your line?
Yeah.
I am not an experienced fisherman. I'm not an experienced angler like Paul. But the one thing that people have trouble with when they go fishing is getting that hook to set and not letting that fish go. These anglers, they really know the feel. They know when to do it, right? Well, he has created something called the Ultimate Noodles, and I'm going to take it from there. Get Paul, go give it to him. Let him take it from here. Paul, tell him about the Ultimate Noodle.
The Ultimate Noodle was invented by a friend of mine that I've been friends with since probably 1986. And we fished together. His name is Johnny Cunningham. And him and his brother got together. And they were welders. And they retired. And they love fishing. And what they did, they kept seeing these pool noodles that people were putting out that you could fish with. And they were, they're kind of cheaply made.
Just hanging like a trot line, right?
Yeah. It's just a long float, but it's like a pool noodle. And they got to looking at it, and they got putting their heads together, and they said, know what? We can make this a lot better. So they went and they put a spring in the middle of these noodles, and copper and spring loaded. And what they did, they ran their string down in it and pulled, and at the very end of this noodle, which has got a plastic pipe in it, it's like conduit, but PVC. And it has a niche on it. And you got 3 beads, which is how tight you want to put that on there. And you put that first bead on there, which is good for me. You run it down, however deep you want that line to be, put your bait, whatever you're using, throw it out. Now that noodle's going to sit there. And as soon as that fish gets it, he's going to take off running. And when he knows something's up, he's going to dart. And when he does, he's going to pull that line, that little tit that's on there is going to come off, and that spring is going to sit it in his mouth.
And you can adjust like the tension of that too, right?
Yes. A lot of people use them for the big stripers, the big rockfish. People use them for muskie. But, buddy, when he pulls that, there you go. When he pulls that and that nipple comes off there and that spring jerks, it's got that hook in that fish's mouth.
What's that gimmick? What's that gimmick down at the end of it? Looks like a point on the end of it. What is that, Paul?
That right there, where his hands, that's where he's pulling the line out and he's showing the tension.
The other side. What's on the other side? Looks like a metal rod sticking out of the top.
Yeah, it's not a rod. It's like a PVC pipe.
Okay.
Sticking about that far. It's got copper on it. These guys, man, when they made it good. I have seen 30-pound catfish pull these things. And, and that spring keeps that hook in there. He can't shake it out. He can do what he wants to. And they've even made the limb lines where you can put them on a limb, drop that off in there, set the tension where you want it. As soon as that fish hits it and that spring sets, he's on. And he can do, he can pull whatever he wants to because there's a spring in there, but it's not going to let him where he can shake it out.
This seems like it's great for kids and people who may not know how to fish, and they can at least participate in the game some, right?
Sometimes it's more relaxing, but yet fun because you're out there, you're talking, you got you guys, and I put 15 out. That's enough. Once they get going, and
you can see them running down. You can see them running down the lake with them.
When they step, the kids, it gives them something to watch. So they're, the kids, they're not getting bored. They're not falling asleep. They're looking. As soon as they see one go up, let's go get it. So also, the reason these guys brought me on is they're not good with videoing. And with me, I own Music City Rock Videos. I do a lot of shows here in Music City, Tennessee. A lot of the local bands, some of the bigger bands. I started videoing. And so I try to do it a family thing where if the father is down there and he's pulling up the noodle as I'm pulling up on it with my pontoon, the kid is behind him with the dip net, and they're working together.
Nice.
And they get a video, and a couple of days later, I get a phone call. Where do I get these noodles? My boy hasn't shut up. He wants to go again. So
you can Google Paul Neighbor's noodle, and then I would suggest you clear your browsing history after that. But if you are not into fishing, then this matters none to you. And I'm sorry to be on a wrestling podcast, but I got to talk to Paul when I can. I've got a question. So we're going to talk about wrestling now. So your dad and Jerry Jarrett are related how?
They are first cousins.
First cousins.
Mm-hmm.
So you grew up with Uncle Jerry all your life.
Yep.
All right. How did you?
Jerry and Teeny, Jerry's mom, Christine, all the family call her Teeny. And Teeny gave me my first job at the fairgrounds.
Tell me about, I want to hear about when you were working. I knew you were working at the fairgrounds. You were an usher at the fairgrounds when you started there. But I want to go into, you started talking about a story where you would go out and you do a bunch of work at Jerry's house when you were like 16, right? You'd go out there. And when did you get smart? When did you get smart to the business?
Gradually. I was never smartened up. I had to learn on my own. I learned to keep your mouth shut. What you see, you don't really say to the crowd. In Nashville, if you knew what happened in Memphis, you didn't say anything.
Did you? Hey, do you remember when you learned that? And I've told this story on podcast before, and it's one of my favorite of my childhood. But that was how my dad tried to smarten me up, because he wanted me not watching wrestling anymore. He felt like it was hurting me more than helping me. And, because I'd go to school and I was going to be Ric Flair that day, or I was going to be whoever. And so my dad tried to smarten me up because he understood how this worked. And so he took me to Memphis TV. And my very first TV to go to was when they turned on Dutch and they beat the shit out of Jarrett in the ring as a referee.
Okay.
And so that was my very first televised show. So then my dad took me to the sports arena in Nashville that night, because we lived in Madison. My dad took me to the sports arena that night, knowing that it was on a bicycle loop.
Mm-hmm.
And he could not convince me that it was a work. I said that what happened was that Dundee and Dutch and Bill had probably Dundee and Buddy and Dutch had probably worked it out after TV. They got it all worked out and everything was all good. And I refused to accept that there was any bullshit. At what point in time did you go, oh, shit. Santa Claus is not real. Son of a bitch.
Without trying to go too far back, again, my dad worked for Nashville Gas Company for 16 years.
Right.
I wanted to go see wrestling. I had been to a match before. Went out there and I sat. I never saw my dad. I watched the matches. Dad was gone in the dressing room the whole time, talking to Jerry. I'm thinking they're just catching up. I'm enjoying the matches. And we get home and Dad is just very quiet. And on the way home, he's very quiet. Next thing I know, he's telling me he may be leaving the gas company to go work for Cuz.
Full time.
Like, Jerry Jarrett? And he goes, yes. I said, wrestling business. Full
time.
And I said, so you're leaving the gas company? And that was huge.
This is back when you left
84.
the company. That was where your pension was back then.
Yes.
That was where your retirement was. You didn't just walk away from that.
That's it. I knew it had to be good. I knew the money had to be good. At the time, I didn't know how big Memphis wrestling was. I saw it. But Jerry, it was going as good where Jerry could run 2 shows. You could put the Fabs, who was just getting in there, and Lawler on a show. Both of them would draw. You were coming in, you got money coming in 2 towns.
And is this like 82, 83, Paul?
This was 84, Dad went.
84? Okay.
Yeah. And
Memphis is hot. Memphis is hot right now, right? Memphis is really hot.
Yeah, red hot. Okay. First job, Dad was to drive the limousine for the Fabs. And so he was driving the limousine, picking up the wrestlers. Handsome Jimmy still remembers Dad picking him up.
Also remembers that garlic burger at Steak and Shake, doesn't he?
Yeah. And with that came the responsibility of taking care of Jerry's house and that huge farm up there. That was a job in itself. So when my summers came, that first summer, I wanted to go see a NASCAR race. And Dad talked to Jerry, and he said, he's got to have this much money to go with his buddy to see the NASCAR race. Now, it was $300. Jerry said, help your daddy, help your dad. And brother, that was work. But, that house was huge, man. That house on Cumberland Hills was huge. And we built the fence all the way down the driveway and all the way around the back. And Dad had that calf that was in the video with Big John Harris. And Jerry had horses and cows, and it was a lot to take care of.
When we played that video the other night, Paul, when we played that video on Live from the Archive, that I think people are now claiming post-traumatic stress disorder from having watched that the other night.
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. You know, and Tojo was scared of horses. So he was, what I understand, he was hesitant to go around a horse or a cow.
Apparently he was scared of gays too after that Dennis Condrey story about him and Phil Hickerson in Louisville.
Let me ask you this, Paul. You were around for a lot of those. What was worse, watching that Big John video or watching him try to wrestle?
Trying to wrestle.
Okay.
Actually, because you think Jerry Jarrett can do anything. He can take somebody and make them look great, and then you go, it just ain't working. He's too big. He's too big. He just, some guys can do it. Some guys can't.
Who's fucking? You were there for the shooting of that video. Your dad is in that video eating breakfast that morning with Lloyd. My question is, who thought it was a good fucking idea for Jerry Jarrett and Tojo to wear their gear in that video?
Yeah,
we still talk about that. I don't know if Jerry just said, hey, we'll go out here in the middle of the farm, we'll put on our gear, and we'll sit up on the guy's shoulders. I don't know.
They'll be real impressed with that.
You would really see some funny stuff up for it. Remember Bota the Witch Doctor?
Yes.
Bota the Witch Doctor. Hey, now let me ask you, Paul, you've never done podcasts. This is the second time you've ever been on a show in your entire lifetime. This is the second time you've been on a show. We have argued this for a long time. A lot of people say that Bota the Witch Doctor was Tiger Conway Jr., and that's not who it was. Or was it who was it that played that character?
I don't remember his name, but it wasn't Tiger. No. I remember us having to stay over up at Jerry's. We had to go grab 2 or 3 bales of straw and grab an end of a chain link gate, and put straw in it and light it with kerosene. And at the end of the video, he busts through there, Bota the Witch, but he's burning his feet.
I bet. Oh my God.
And he's saying, feet hot. And so we're having to shoot it over, because the guy's trying to, make it dramatic as he could. Yeah. But
it's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Were you there for when they shot Tagar?
No.
That Tagar video?
No.
Oh my God.
I was there. I'll tell you a good one. I think it was a Tuesday morning. I'm out at Jerry's house. Dad's doing the bush hogging up front, and I'm doing the weed eating around back, whatever Deborah needs, which was Jerry's wife, where she wanted weed eat. And I see this car pull up, and here comes Thor, the Doberman, Jerry's Doberman. And he's, looks vicious, to me, he was a big old baby, but he's barking. And so I immediately shut off, and I go up there, and I'm like, Thor. I look, and I see these 2 big guys in the car, and rolls the window down. He said, will he bite? I said, not with me here. I said, he's all right. I said, Thor, I said, you looking for Jerry Jarrett? Oh, thank God. He said, this is his house. I said, yes, sir. I said, you go through the garage right there, go up the steps. That's his office. Who was it? Driving? Sting. Passenger? Jim Hellwig.
1985.
They had driven all the way. I don't know if it's California. Yes. And you could tell they were tired. But, God, man, they were so big. And when they got out, I remember I'm just going, oh, my gosh. You tell they were bodybuilders, big boys. And they went in and, talked to Jerry. And I guess things went well. Jerry used them and tried to train them. And,
Now, how often did you go on the road with you? So your dad was pretty prominent. Let's get out of the 80s for a minute and let's go into the early 90s. Your dad's with USWA. Yeah. And he's there. How much are you going on the road with your dad at that point? How much are you hitting the shows and on the loop?
In the summertime, we ran spot shows. Teenie had her hounds, which she had Louisville, and she had, I think, maybe Evansville, but she had her spot shows.
Who had Nashville? show was Nashville? Who was Nashville belong to?
That was Tina's. That was Miss Jarrett's. That was hers.
Sold tickets at the window.
Yes, and my cousin Donna sold tickets at the General Mission. Black-haired lady, Donna Bowers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. That's who I always got my tickets from, Miss Donna.
Yes.
Miss Donna knew us as kids. She knew us by name, dude, when we came in. I love Miss Donna.
Yes, and me and Donna's son grew up together for a while before you guys
are older. You guys are older than me because I'm 52. How old are you?
I'll be 58 in November.
See, you guys were older than me. Y'all were the teenage bastards that y'all were mean back then too. When we would be outside playing cup ball and stuff, because it was you and Jamie Dundee and all of you teenagers. Y'all were assholes.
Man. Hey, I used to have a buddy that used to live next door to Jeff, and he would chase Jeff down the road he had a little stick that had a skull on it, Halloween. And he would chase Jeff Jarrett and get him go up a tree, and Jeff wasn't coming back down because that skull.
So dad's working for USWA. Are you watching at this point you've graduated high school? Are you watching the show every week and then
USWA hadn't been done yet because she got 84. Dad was really going 85, 86, 87, 88. Every summer they ran these spot shows, which was Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
I would get in the truck. We would leave. We would go to Cowan, Tullahoma, anywhere in Indiana, Owensboro, Glasgow, everywhere, and set the ring up.
The Versailles, Indiana. Anytime that Lance talked about those were all spot shows, right?
Spot shows. Okay. Yep. And the JCs at the school would put it on. But man, some of those places were hot. And if you had to go to one that had a sunken in gym, you were praying that the football team was there to help you set that ring up. Because that was, you're taking turnbuckles down into a sunken gym. And afterwards, a lot of the guys who helped you put it up and got a free ticket don't hang around. They go home and you're wondering where everybody went. So
that's the way my broadcast partner, Scotty Wentz, is.
Oh, you know something about that.
Yeah, he's here for all the good stuff, and then when it's time for the heavy lifting, that son bitch ain't nowhere to be found.
I know a few singers quite a few singers that are like that. Hey, where's the singer? He ain't hauling nothing. He's got a microphone. That's good enough for him.
How old are you? Okay, so how old are you in 85? You would have been what, 18?
Yeah.
All right, so 18, 85. Are you heavy into wrestling at this point or no?
Well, I was loving it, man. I was loving it, and I was feeding off. I was a huge Jerry Lawler fan. And when I lived in Pasadena, Texas, my mom and dad got divorced when I was young, and mom got remarried, and she moved to Texas. In Pasadena, I would go there for the summers, and it was different because I thought Jerry Lawler was everything from what I've watched through the 70s and 80s.
You were catching Houston wrestling in Mid-South.
So when Paul Bosch came on, and I see Paul Bosch, and I see his guy, which is, Dusty and
he's got everybody. He's got Brody.
You've got Gino Hernandez, man. God, Gino and Tully Blanchard they were white hot. People hated them. Oh my gosh, they were stirring up so much down there.
Gene, how much access have you had? I know you've had a lot, but how much have you studied how hot Gino and Tully were in Southwest? Then Paul Bosch would get them. And in Houston, it was even worse. How much have you studied that? Because I'm going to tell you what, Gino Hernandez with that handsome half-breed bullshit he was doing, and Tully being Tully. Can you imagine, Gene, the heat in 85?
They were just, and this was, I think, 82. I remember they went against Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Ted DiBiase. I got to go. And I think it was at the Summit.
Yeah, it would have been the Summit then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is now Joel Osteen's church.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Sure.
Went there and, got to see it. Got home and watched the Paul Bosch, wrestling. And remember the commercials, the sausage? He would always do the commercial, about some sausage. Yeah.
It was the blue and gold sausage, man.
Yes. And I got to see Mil Makris, which I'd seen him in the magazines. And when I saw him, I was like,
Was it the real one?
Yes.
You could always see. I wondered how would they try to pull off? And Gene, you've talked about this so many times. How would they try to pull off a fake Mil Mascaras when that guy's chest defined him? And when you saw it in person, they did it to us at World Class in '88 at the Sportatorium. They had Mil Mascaras versus Brian Adias, and that was not Mil Mascaras. His chest was Bullet Bob Armstrong-ish.
So it wouldn't.
You would know it was a fake. You would know it was a fake. But when you saw Mil Mascaras, you knew that's the real dude.
We'll return after these messages.
Tired of the same boring wrestling podcast? Need something with attitude, chaos, and maybe just a little cussing? That's STSpod.club, and we got it all covered. We've got wrestling weirdness with WTF News Desk, 5-minute time limit, and the Southern Fried Brain of me, BT, stirring the whole ship. We also have rolling into Memphis every week about the current Memphis wrestling. Interviews, hot takes, and wrestling outrageousness so wild it might get you banned in 12 states. That's right, it's SDSpod.club, or search all podcast catchers for Shooting the Shiznit, where wrestling podcasts grow chest hair. Not sure what that meant. Love my mama.
Bell rings. Crowd raw.
In a business built on secrets, some stories were never meant to be told. But now they are. From Memphis wrestling icons, Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich, comes the podcast that not only pulls back the curtain, it rips it down. Real stories. No filters. From wild road stories to the truth behind the headlines, this is the kind of locker room talk you won't hear anywhere else. Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. New episodes weekly on YouTube, all podcast platforms, and early uncensored access on Patreon. Look us up on DougGilbertPodcast.com.
To Japan, every tale, every stitch, dangerous conversations, you don't change this.
Oh, yes, sir. When I seen him come over that top rope on top of whoever it was, I was like, man, he came right over. You know how he would do the fly. Yeah. And I remember just a few years ago, I saw where Jeff had tagged with him. And I hit Cubs up, and I was like, Jeff, you worked with Mill? And he was like, yes, sir, I did. And I was like, oh, dude.
No job. He was going to do
Jeff ate the pen that night, but he did.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Hey, so who was your favorite? Who was your favorite Houston, though? Who was your favorite wrestler out of the Houston territory? I love Bruiser Bob Sweet-Tan. I know I can't love him anymore.
Dusty, I love Dusty. Dusty would come in and he would bring a partner in, which was at one time Terry Funk, to go against Gino and Tully, who was just,
what a dream match that is, dude.
Yeah.
And you know what? Hey, I'll tell you something. Gino, the reason that team had heat like they did, don't take anything away from Tully. But dude, Paul, when he was with Chris Adams in Dallas, it was just as fucking bad. Yeah. They hated him here. Yeah. Gino was a sad loss for this business because he could have done some amazing. Could you have imagined a Gino Lawler run?
Yeah. People are talking about the high flying Ric Flair. Gino, he lived it.
Oh, yeah.
I think Gino would have ended up in Crockett Promotions, and it's probably in the Horsemen, and probably would have rose above Flair. From a work standpoint, a heat standpoint, from all of that, but we'll never know.
Tell you what, dude, it's hard to top Gino. So, all right, so you're there, you're with your mom in the summers, you're in Pasadena. What's going on after that?
After that was 82. Here 84 comes. Dad goes to work for Jerry. Limousine driving. Then Jerry had him announcing. Then it came to where Dad was going to pull the ring. I said, okay. And then he says, I'm refereeing. I'm like, you getting in the ring? He's like, yeah. I said, okay. And so Jerry booked a tour with some country music promoters out in Missouri. This was right when he was taking over Dallas.
Okay.
I think Dog of War.
This would have been 88, the fall of 88.
Yes. So we got the ring, and we were going to be gone a week. We went to St. Louis, Missouri, set the ring up, went to Bass Pro Shops, came back, did the show. No, we got back, and Dad said, we need somebody to announce. And I said, what? He goes, you got to announce that I'm going to be refereeing. Okay. And I'm nervous. I said, I got this. So the first match is Jackie Moore, Miss Texas, went against another girl that was Miss Texas. But I think Jackie went by a different name.
Sweet Georgia Brown.
Sweet Georgia Brown.
Boom. And so the first match, what I do before the match, I go back to my old buddy, Gary Young. I said, Gary, here's the shoot. I said, get everybody's weight, where they're from for me. Okay. Hey, I'm young. I'm naive. I get the card, paper. I said, everybody's weight's on here. I'm good. First match, I go up and I grab the microphone. Welcome, everyone. Championship Wrestling, blah, blah. First match of the night is a ladies' match. Please welcome from Texas, weighing at 180 pounds, Miss Texas. Her opponent for the night from Georgia, weighing in at 250 pounds. She goes, look, Jackie goes, 250, what you fool? I wanted to slide down out of that chair. I wanted, was it a Twix commercial or whatever? I just wanted to go and ease on. And I'm looking back there, and Matt Bourne and Gary Young are cracking up. They're like, hook, line, and sinker, sucker. Welcome to the business. And to this day, Jackie still remembers that. But that ain't the only thing. During that match, the first cover, 1, 2, Jackie kicks out. And when she does, her elbow breaks my dad's nose.
Oh shit.
First match. He's the only referee we got.
Well,
so on the way back,
on the screen of the man right there. For those of you
that's
who know
him.
There's the man right there.
That's the Pop. I says, when he's going back to the dressing room, and I hear some commotion going on. I look back, and he's into it with somebody, and I supposedly, as he's going back, some kid said, "Dad, look, he's got his nose broke." And his dad said, "Man, that's just ketchup. That ain't real."
Oh shit!
Dad turns around. And I'm like, "Go! Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." So we get back there, and they reset his nose, and he, thank God, went on and did the rest of the tour. We went to Muskogee,
Oklahoma,
went through Little Rock, Arkansas, or Jonesboro, back into Memphis for Saturday morning TV, and then back in Nashville that night when we was off Sunday.
Did you, when your dad, did your dad, I'm just thinking of this, Gene, you may be better to answer this. Did Paul take a second rope pile driver from Eric Embry on TV?
I don't think so.
Don't remember nothing like that. I remember the 7 pile drivers that Lawler gave him.
Yeah,
right.
Lawler,
So since he didn't take that, let's go back to these pile drivers I want to talk, because I know several that your dad has taken. What did he tell you about doing that? Or did you yourself take some and you knew kind of how it worked? Because did you ever get in the ring and work out with the boys, or did you ever do anything like that?
That didn't happen. That didn't happen until about 91, 92, when I started getting into it. Dad and Eric just hit it off. Much respect. When Eric came here, I remember Eric calling my dad and them just talking forever. And it was the same with, you pick some guys out that you just like, that dude really likes my dad. Or that he's down to earth. And Tony Anthony, Dirty White Boy, another one, great guy. Yeah. And Eric and my dad and the Fullers. The Fullers love my dad. Robert.
Well, Eric said that your dad really helped him to understand the landscape of Memphis when he came in from Dallas, when Jerry put him in a booking spot, because he was put in a very tough position when he got put in it and kind of got thrown in it, and that your dad was kind of a mentor to him to learn the landscape of how this is going to be played in this territory.
Yes, it was. At that time, I could feel tension sometimes, even riding down the road, listening to, see, a lot of the wrestlers, if they didn't have a vehicle transportation, me and Dad would pick them up at the Congress Inn on Dickerson Road and give them a ride. Tony Falk, Miss Texas, the Moondogs, the Black Dog they brought in, a lot of them rode with us. They had to get there early because we had to set the ring up, but they could go take a nap, whatever they wanted to do.
At this point, are you working for your dad, or is Pop paying you at this point?
I never, to this day, I never got paid for anything I did with Jerry, except for I got tickets to go to the race that time. Dad was sent by himself to set the ring up, no help. So if for some reason I didn't go, I felt so bad. So I made sure I went with my dad, because you didn't know if somebody was going to be there at that place to help him. They told you that they asked for help. Yeah, I told him that you was going to need help. And I'm like, Dad, if I didn't come, you'd have to set up all the turnbuckles and tear it down by yourself. And he goes, I'm like, dude, you can't keep doing this, because Dad would get up at 7, 8 o'clock and be at Jerry's house, cut grass, take care of the farm, whatever there was done, need to be done, and then get in the truck at 2 or 3 o'clock, head to the town, referee, manage, whatever he had to do, come back home, get 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and Jerry would want him to be back up there because Deborah or somebody wanted something to be done. Eventually, it caught up with Dad, and I think that's what really drove a spike between my dad and Jerry, is because it got to where my stepmom and dad went up and had a talk with Jerry, and she tried to say, Paul, your cousin is tired. And Jerry just, he asked if my stepmom, if my daddy was drinking.
Right. And it was just, he was tired. He'd been worked so hard and so much. What year is this picture we got right here? You and Jerry and Paul.
That was at Scott Till's reunion. I probably 2000, maybe 2001. It's been a while.
And then we've got another picture that I have here, and that's you and your dad right there. What year?
That was me and my dad. We got that picture made, and about a month later, he died.
Do you think that he loved the wrestling business? Was that his? Was that
you
his?
Understand, when you get dementia, and a lot of them get it.
Well, Bill Dundee has it right now. Poor Bill's going through it. And that's the thing about Jamie. You, Paul,
me and Jamie know.
You've got somebody that you can talk to, and Jamie's got somebody he can talk to, because you both are have gone through the same thing.
That made my daddy. If I could bring out some old matches, him and Lawler, him refereeing, he would sit there and he would smile. And he would laugh. He'd say, that's me. I said, yes, Daddy, that's you. He was like, his boy, I was fast. I said, yeah, you was fast. And I brought out a video where Jerry, Dad, Eddie, Marlin, Tom, I think Thomas went with them. They all went to Canada in '87. They went bear hunting and fishing. And I brought that, and Dad's like, wow. He goes, ain't that something? He goes, I've been there, but I don't remember it. And I said, Dad, that's okay. I said, but you can see, you were there. And I said, we're all getting old. And I said, I'm glad I got this video. And I took it to him. I took it to the guy who owned Hendersonville Tire, Robert Carter. I gave it to his family, a copy of the video when he passed. And their grandchildren got to see their pop up in Canada fishing, catching muskie with Eddie Marlin. And, just the wrestling business. Dad loved the fans. We would go paper to town a month before, put stickers in windows if they let us, a month in advance at any small town.
That's old school, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes I was scared, but I would go knock on there. The guy said, yeah, go ahead. Or he may say, no, get out of here. I just wanted, put this in there. He's going to help your town, your school. And it become father and son. It made me and my dad so tight where I knew I could talk to him about anything. Nowadays that's kind of hard to come by, that because we were together, we ate the same thing. We, laughed at stuff and we could talk about
bond. You had a bond inside of that business too, that business was a lot like the mafia, right? Where it was closed. And you knew you could talk in a speak and in a language that nobody else could talk in because they didn't know it. And that was a bond you had with your dad.
That's it. They knew when you walked in, you were there not to harm. You were there to help. If the boys need anything, I know you can't go walk out here. You want something to drink. Are you hungry? Dad always wanted coffee, and I'd ask the other boys, do you guys need anything while you're in here? Whatever they needed. Just made sure I went into the partying afterwards. I know the guys went and had a good time. We had to get back because we knew the next morning you was going to have to be at that farm. And
probably saved your life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think
and look, you know how fast wrestlers drive?
Sure.
Oh my gosh. The Fabs used to get on Dad because he would not drive 80, 90 miles an hour because that was Dad's ticket.
Right.
The police got him. That was Dad. Dad's like, look, I'm not going to get a ticket in his limousine hauling you guys. This cop may not be a wrestling fan. That pulls us over. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, do you regret not being more involved, or are you happy you stayed kind of away from it?
I'm happy because, so we get on into Dallas is kind of fading. We did what we could. Jerry did what we could.
Were you coming over to the Sportatorium at that time?
I came over twice with Dad.
I was there for the entire Embry Akbar run, and then after that was done, I moved away, and I didn't get a chance to be in the Sportatorium again until USWA was closing operations. We had gone back, and I was back in Dallas, and then I was there when USWA completely shut down and it became global.
Okay.
So that's where I am. So you're coming in 88, right?
Yeah. So things were still, remember Jeff had the Jordache video, Jordache jeans,
Jordache jeans video with the poster and shit.
Yeah. So I started selling.
I think Gene still puts that in and marks out to it every once in a while.
You can't see it. It's hanging on the wall. It's hanging on the wall over there in the corner. You just
Scotty watches.
He asked me a while back if I could find an original copy. Man, I was looking over. I was like, Jeff, we'll find one. A picture of that.
It's on Gene's wall.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
So I started selling merchandise. Teeny called and said, listen, Paulette, who is another member of the family, is going to work for the bank. Donna needs someone to ride with her to the towns and sell the pictures because Paulette can't do it. I said, sure. So I would go to Evansville.
And this is Miss Donna from Nashville, from the sports arena?
Donna Bowers.
Yeah.
So that was my cousin.
Okay.
So
is she still living, Paul?
No, Donna passed away about 5 years ago, cancer.
Man, that's sad. I would have loved to have said hi to her. She wouldn't. She may have remembered me. Who knows? I doubt it. But man, that would have been cool.
Sweetest lady, just as calm. I don't care. You would tell her and say, "Boy, did you see the crowd last night?" And she'd be like, "Well, I heard it." You know
what I remember? A story of Miss Donna. I remember one night my mom had given me, it was $10 because it was $5 to get in, and then that gave me $5 there at the snack bar to get a nachos. Remember the nachos?
Yeah.
That would get me a nachos and a Coke, and I could get like a candy bar with $10. And one night I had a couple dollars in my pocket, a couple of ones, and I guess I had reached in my pocket and I lost my $10. And I was 11 years old. I get up there. The lady that I'm riding with, she's talking to Miss Teeny, and Miss Donna, I reached in and I had my 2 ones, but I didn't have the 10. And I'm explaining to her, oh my God, I must have dropped it somewhere, blah, blah, blah. And she can tell I'm getting upset. And she said, she told me to come around the back. Remember how you could go in and then you went around the back where her little booth thing was there at the window?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I came back there and she gave me my ticket and she gave me a $10 bill. And she knew that I had that for food and stuff. And so she did that for me. She was just the sweetest lady. I'll never forget that night. It was cold outside. It was raining. Oh, she was the best.
Oh my gosh. I remember the first time I really met Teeny. Dad, who worked for Nashville Gas, they knew that. Her pilot light had went out. So Dad and me go over there. He lights her pilot light. And she looks at me and she said, honey, will you take my garbage out? And I'm like, sure, Teeny. I take it out and I come back and she says, thank you. And she grabs my hand and I felt something. And I get back in the room and I'm like, $10 for taking out the trash?
10 spot. Give you a little 10 spot.
Dad, you've been holding out on me. Well, you're doing it at the house. So I really, I still remember that. And I remember Dono, me going, we would always have to stop at the Walmart in Evansville. She'd do her shopping there. We'd go. I would put Jeff's picture up, sell what I could, push it. And I learned pretty quick that at the spot shows, I could sell Jeff's older pictures because those fans didn't know that those pictures had been, and you would tell them, hey, this is his newest ones he's got out. Well, they would buy them, and I go, Jeff, I got rid of that one pose. You need to go ahead and get some more.
Yeah.
And same time, we was in Owensboro, and Sid Vicious was doing the humongous gimmick.
Okay.
I sold every one of his shirts.
Paul E is there at that time, right?
Oh, people, yes. But Sid was a babyface on that one. As humongous. Sold every shirt that had that mask on it. And I don't know Sid this well. I just know he asked me, hey, will you sell this if you're selling Jeff's stuff? And I said, sure. And so break time, I go back, I said, Sid? And he looks at me, he goes, yeah, buddy. I said, I've sold everything you got. I don't have T-shirts. I don't have pictures. What? Follow me. And we go out to the back of his trunk of his car, and he pops it open, and we're pulling out everything. If he thinks it can be sold, I took it out there and sold it. And he had a good night that night. I went out there and pushed everything.
Did you ever referee at all? Did you referee at any point?
Never refereed.
Do you think did your dad ever did you ever remember him talking about that where these guys are so flipping green that your dad had to call the match?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that shit.
Yeah. Well, it's like with the Blade Runners.
Right.
Everyone had to help them. Phil Hicks, everyone helped them.
Right.
Everyone helped Jeff. I remember being at Jeff's first match he refereed was in, I think, Tullahoma. And, of course, Dad being a referee kind of took Jeff and, hey, this is what you're going to do. This is, and he helped him out a lot.
Was Paul Morton that for your dad?
Yeah, he was after Dad. And he was after. No, Paul Morton was before.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Ricky's dad. Yeah.
Your dad.
Yeah. So even when Dad came in, it was Dad and Joe Wheeler and who were still friends with my dad. Joe's still around. And Frank Morrell, which Frank is in a home down in Erin, Tennessee. Beautiful.
Frank, go ahead, Gene. Frank is going to be where, Gene? They're doing something.
Yeah, he's going to be at the Kayfabe Cave in Pulaski, Tennessee, coming up in July. I'm going to go over there and see Frank. I'm excited.
Will you tell him? Jeff had and this is recent. Me and Jeff were texting, and I told him about Frank, and he's like, "Where is he?" And I told him, and he said, "Cause he said, years I've heard that he holds resentment towards me because of the WWE. When Jeff went there and the roadie thing, they wanted Armstrong to be with Jeff, not Frank." And Jeff said, I went to bat for Frank, but Vince wouldn't have it. And he said, you can't make Vince McMahon bring somebody that he doesn't want. And he said, I said, I'd heard, Jeff, that Frank was upset that you kind of left him off or didn't take care of him. I said, but it's all been forgiven. Everybody knows that was a total different time. Water under the bridge. And I tell you what, Jeff about cried. He said, that made my day. No, that made my whole week. He said, because I never wanted to harm Frank or anybody. But at that time of your life, things are going. You either go or you may have to wait.
Jeff didn't make that call anyway. That was Vince that was going to make that call. So Jeff could have went to bat with 100 bats for Frank. And if Vince said no, Vince said no. That was just the way it was.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think Frank, understands that now, that that's the way it happened. That's the way it was written for, life. And
what do you think about that? I mean, Vince had to have all the control.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, Jeff couldn't control that, and Vince already had in mind the angle that he was wanting to do, the singing angle where, it would be revealed that Brian was singing. And so, Frank didn't fit into that. You weren't going to be able to have a program with Jeff and Frank in 95. So,
Frank was up in age, and you're trying to find an angle, and, they can't come up with anything. So, eventually Tojo comes up to me and he says, you big boy, he said, you come to school Sunday. I said, the fairgrounds?
Like,
he said, be there at 7 o'clock.
No, you're not stretching me, bitch. No.
I said, I looked at Daddy, and Daddy said, it's up to you, boy. Wow. He said, you come on.
So Paul didn't try to talk you out of it?
So I go there Sunday morning, get up there, and I learn about Hindu squats.
Oh, yeah.
And the Hindu squats, oh my gosh. And as soon as we got stretched out, one of the guys, I don't think it was Tony Burton, the ninja. I think it was something happened and he got upset and then said, that's it, I quit, I don't want to do it. And he starts walking back towards the Hills dressing room. And of course, it's empty. It's Sunday morning. And you see Tojo going behind him saying, yeah, you go, yeah. Man, you hear that stick. Whop. You going to quit? No, sir. Whop. You going to quit? No, sir. You get back out there. They get going in, and the next guy walks right into a drop kick. I don't remember the guy, but it broke his nose. Oh. That scared me. I thought, what in the hell am I fixing to get into? Yeah. And Tojo fixes his nose. I went through it. I went back the next week. He told me, he said, look, boy, he said, you take bath in Epsom salt. He said, you're going to be sore. He said, those ring ropes are going to make you sore where you're hitting them. And I went, and then someone said, Tojo's not doing well. I remember the last time I went, Tojo came up to me and he said, where your daddy at? I said, he's coming. Ooh, he said, I got him bad last night. Ooh. I said, yeah. He said, you tell him so sorry. I said, you tell him you're sorry. So, it was when I think Dad and Eddie Marlin both lost their hair to Tojo and Eric Embry. And the next day, I go up to Jerry's house, and Dad's out there on the tractor bush hogging with no hat on. So his head, I pull up, I start laughing. He goes, do I look funny? I said, Dad, it's not you lost your hair. I said, your head is blistered. Yeah. I said, you are blistered. He goes, I said, when you get home and that shower hits that head, you're going to have steam coming off of it. I mean, because him and Eddie both had lost their hair to.
Tojo suffered from kidney stones really bad, and I, having been a sufferer myself, not like him, nowhere near what he was putting up with, but that was pretty sad about Tojo. And
Yes.
Tojo was a blessing to the business from everything that I've heard and everybody that's told stories and all that kind of stuff. Let me ask you, when was your dad's last match? When did he completely walk away from the business?
Jonesboro, Arkansas. It had to be 90. It was late 90, 93, 95, 94, something late.
He did not.
Billy Joe Travis was, I think, in the match. Dad was refereeing. I think whatever happened was Dad got out of the ring. There was a guy that was going to jump into the ring and hit one of the guys. Dad grabbed him, and when he turned around, the guy said, "Don't hit me, I have AIDS. Don't hit me, I have AIDS." And Dad stopped. And he looked down, and the guy had a Rapala fillet knife. And Dad said, that next day, Dad said, with AIDS coming on and all this bleeding in the ring, it's time for me to quit. He said, I'm getting out of it. It's not worth it.
Oh,
and I remember him, and things were bad with Jerry because, man, when I was training, after I started training with the USWA wrestling school, which was Jeff and Jerry, they wanted me to come and finish up training with them. There was a lot of feeling of distrust. You didn't know if Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler got along. You didn't know.
I don't want to stop that because I want to get back to it. But Gene had this look on his face, and I know he's there. It's about your dad's last match, and I think Gene wanted to expand on that. I've done podcasts with him long enough that I know when he's like, "Hang on."
Well, I just need to ask something. Then I got to dip out, and I'm gonna tag Scotty Wentz in, but because I got to be somewhere. But I want to ask because last year, me and the guys covered the entire year of 1993, and your dad was prominent in that. There was a point where he was like Jerry Lawler's top heel nemesis at one time. The angle was basically your dad and Lawler. And so, they had some matches, like you said, the pile drivers. But the thing that really stands out to me is like your dad had a main event match at the Mid-South Coliseum, Jerry Lawler versus Paul Neighbors with Vince McMahon and sitting ringside. What did that mean to your dad? Like, was he nervous going into that? Like, just tell me about your dad on that day.
Dad never showed any emotions about stuff like that, so I didn't know. I had heard that Lawler did not like my dad. Eric Embry had told me years later, that Jerry Lawler asked.
That's going to contradict a shoot interview that Jerry Lawler did, that he specifically said that Paul Neighbors was a great referee. He knew where to be. He knew where to be. He was no Jerry Calhoun, but I never heard him say a bad word about your dad in a shoot. I do
That's
remember
nice to know because
so, I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, and supposedly told him that he didn't want him in Memphis anymore. So Eric says, Lawler, I can't do that. I love Paul. I'm going to book him. And so he goes to Jerry Jarrett, and Jerry Jarrett's like, I'm not doing the books right now, but if you do that, Lawler's not going to be happy. And he's like, well, I can't leave Paul without working. So he books Dad in Memphis, and I guess Eric took the heat from, I don't know, like you say, it could not be true. This is what I was told.
I don't know. I just
after that match, I remember Dad. It must have meant a lot to Dad because, buddy, he went by the book. He wore the shoe polish. He wore the neck brace. He wore everywhere you went. You knew something. He had gotten burned. The neck brace. I think there was just a lot. Everybody knew that things were kind of going bad. We were at the end of And no one was, and I do know that Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett, there was some kind of riff going in. And I know at one time Lawler was going to break off and go by himself with Lance.
That was led up to all that bullshit with Larry Burton. That's what led up to that whole deal. And on that note, we're going to let Gene tag out. He's got somewhere he's got to go. He's bringing in my tag.
One more thing I want to say, though. There was a commercial bumper from one of those encounters your dad had with Lawler, where Lawler shoves your dad. Your dad bounces off the ropes and comes off and just knocks Lawler flat on his ass. Like, I don't know if that was the planned spot, but I played that in commercial bumpers on that show like all the time because I just thought that was hilarious that referee Paul Neighbors just decked Jerry Lawler. So just know that was one of my favorite things about that entire year.
Hey, I caught the end of that, man. My first wrestling match. When they told me, be at Memphis Saturday, I was like, you're ready to put me in the ring? Yeah. You're going against Lawler. What? And Dad goes, yeah, just be there. He goes, now I remember over to a friend's house. I said, Jerry Lawler? He goes, yeah, he's got you against him. I'm like,
it's not Kevin or Brian.
And when we got in that ring, I learned he didn't care for, I don't know what I did, but he locked up with me, Bubba, and it was my fault because when Jerry and them trained us, maybe I was just too dumb. I didn't know what a bill was. And so when Jerry put me in the corner and he says, I'm going to bill you, buddy, I took a horrible side hip toss and it made him mad. And he come off and he got my intern mask about all the way up here. And then he says, hold on. He come off that top rope and bam, it split my lip from here all the way back here.
No shit.
And I went in the dressing room and Jeff was hanging his head. And Jeff goes, how bad is it? I looked at him. He goes, and Jerry Jarrett come back. He goes, what did he do? I said, obviously, I didn't know what a bill was or something I did. And I said, he didn't pull. And I said,
I'm a Mark. So what the fuck is a bill?
Bill. Like, yeah. Yeah. So, hey, my fault on that part. But, they should have trained us when we was in mainly Jerry Jarrett during the USWA. They got money from whoever they could. And I think only one kid made it. So Aaron, somebody made it, through the school and got booked. They made some money, off of the kids, and then just, but he put me with Cat Garrett. Do you guys remember Cat Garrett?
I do.
Me and Cat, bam. We worked matches. My first match, I had Nurse Cratchit with me.
Yeah.
Never met the lady.
I talked to her on Facebook and she was an absolute stark raving whiz-inch to me, man. I said, hey, said, listen, I'm trying to do, I'm wanting to talk to some people and blah, blah, blah. And she was so pissed off that I even brought this up. And that was a time of her life she didn't want to talk about and God, she was mean as shit.
One of these days, I'll tell you why.
Well, Paul, thanks, man. I'm going to tag out to Scotty. And,
come on, Scotty.
Great talking to you, brother.
Come on in, Scott. All right, one take a pause. Come on in. There we go.
We don't have to catch him up.
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Cratchit.
Hey, Bubba.
Nurse Cratchit.
So I never met the lady. They told me that she was going to be my manager against Cat. Cat said, brother, don't you be nervous. He goes, I will work you through this. And I felt so comfortable working with Cat because I lived in Madison. He lived in Madison.
Where'd you live in Madison? I lived
right
over
behind Trade Winds, man. Remember the big fish in the sky? Trade Winds bait shop.
I lived right off of Neely's Bend Road. So I was at 686 Cheyenne Boulevard. I was right on the river. I was over by the old folks' home.
Hey, I know where I used to play in a band that was over there.
That's where Bobby and Tommy lived, and I lived in the apartment next door to Tommy and upstairs from Bobby.
Okay. Eventually, when I got married, I moved over to Robin Hood Condominiums.
Robin Hood, yep.
We had me and Wolfie D.
Jamie Dundee lived there.
Well, Wolfie was there. And oh my gosh, great times. So, but anyway, we did a great match. I'm under the mask. Dad's refereeing. And when she came to, I was holding up Cat. He ducks. She hit me with that bedpan, buddy. She nailed me. It knocked me out.
Oh, no shit.
2 nights later, I found out that someone put her up to it. So yeah, I told Dad, I said, I'm going to do something else. I said, there is hostility going on in this business right now. There is some people not liking other family members. There is something just not. So I went off and started wrestling in the Outlaws, had a blast. And finally, I think someone called and said, do you want to come down? I said, you know what? As much as I love the outdoors and I love doing what I'm doing, wrestling is too much. Memphis was 6 days a week.
Right.
Usually. Yeah. You never had time.
Scotty, when you were wrestling, did you find that there were politics like that, even at the independent level and stuff like that? Like this? Is it? Tell me about that, man.
Politics and wrestling.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's like we talked about the other day. Sometimes wrestlers are the most sensitive human beings you'll ever encounter. Some people believe their own hype. Some people believe their own quote press clippings. They just, if they're somewhere long enough, they think they're on top. They're the number one guy. Everything should go through them. They should, the booker should talk to them 24/7 about what's going on. They need to be in the loop all the time. Only their friends can work there. You can't work anywhere else. You have to just work with us. It's so sad. I mean, this stuff could be so much fun if everybody would work together, but everybody wants to, quote, feed their own ego and think that they're the top guy in the land. So it's just, there's no way to work.
I think there's enough money to be made if you took a bunch of people in Texas, for instance, where I am, and you put all these independent groups together and said, listen, let's just start something where imagine what they could draw. If you've got the best of every group or whatever, you'll never get them. I mean, those people can't even agree on where the sun goes at night. So there's no way that they could do that. Why is Paul Neighbors being targeted and subjected to this just because of his dad? Like, I don't
probably for what? Yeah. It's what one or two, actually probably one of three reasons. One, because he was green at the time, so nobody wanted to do anything with him. Number two, egos, because the people on top didn't want to let go of anything. They didn't want to put anybody over to try to, further the product. It was about how much money they could make right there for themselves and nobody else. So
I heard it was also because, get this, guys, you got Jerry Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett, Eddie Marlin, Tommy Marlin, Paul Neighbors, Little Paul, a lot of family, and I think someone took offense to like, oh, here comes another one of those that's going to have a vote against me, or here comes another person from that family that's going to be coming in this bill.
It truly was a fucking Jarrett Lawler had fucking issue deal, man. Like, who was better, who was whatever.
It was really bad it got where Eddie and my dad wasn't speaking. Daddy was not allowed to pull the ring to any of Eddie's towns.
Why?
Eddie and
Why?
It got bad, Bubba. Everybody was trying to make what they could because you had Eddie and eventually the TV guy, the video guy, Randy West, were taking the ring to Eddie's town. They were doing the concessions. They were promoting everything. So Dad had to sit home, and he's wondering what I'm going to do. But, you look at Teeny, and Teeny said, Paul, you will always have my towns. I don't have many, but you will always run them. And if I can have you, I'll have you referee. And to this day, Dad was forever grateful for Teeny for doing that. So we would do Teeny's towns. Anything she needed, like if she needed something ran, like she bought Jeff, I think a grill for his birthday, we went and got it and delivered it to him. If she needed car taken, Dad was loyal, and he wanted to be loyal to Jerry big time. Jerry in his book says Paul Neighbors was my right hand. I think in Jerry's book, someone asked Paul Neighbors. He said Paul Neighbors, like Eddie, was my right hand man all through my
Yeah, that's why. So if you hear so get this. So I have this Dolby Atmos thing in my garage that I can listen to, and I've turned on, and literally the wind chimes, Scotty, sound like they were outside from my house. So I'm like, where the fuck are the wind chimes coming from? And so then I'm looking around, and they sound like so clear on this thing that it's like going in surround sound in my Atmos. There it goes, and it's like, wow, it must be windy out there, but that's all I hear is those wind chimes. So if I mute, don't take offense to it.
Do I need to go inside?
It would probably be better, but
I can do that.
That wind chime. I'm gonna.
Tennessee's had so much rain and weather; it's been bad. But we've needed the rain, so I can't.
So do you? When you said, "Okay, I'm out of the business," you didn't want to do it. Your dad was out. What did your dad do after he got out of the business? What did he do from there?
Him and his brother got together and started electric. They were electricians. My dad was,
did
a chip off the block.
Did you know that Tommy Gilbert was a lineman for the state of Tennessee or something? He was like the Wichita lineman, that he was a lineman. Tommy Gilbert was for the state of Tennessee. I think you can unmute now, Scotty Wentz.
Well,
Thank you.
I talk to Doug more than I do. Me and Doug are Tennessee fans. Tennessee
Doug,
Volunteers. Yeah.
I think Doug, and Gene does Doug and Tommy's podcast. And I got to tell you, your dad went on to just leave wrestling alone and go do his thing. Just like you left wrestling alone. You're still around it. You're like we are. We're all reliving our childhoods. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
It's I think it's become therapeutic for you as it's beginning to help you with your dad, because I know how close the two of you were, and every day it's still there. And it hurts and it's hard. And I think that this, though, has become therapeutic for you in the fact that, hey, you got to talk about this stuff, because this is how we remember your dad. Remember your dad as Paul Neighbors. Paul Neighbors is a referee who carried the ring, who mowed the grass, who took care of the farm. He was in the main event with Jerry Lawler at Mid-South Coliseum. How many people can say that they did all of that?
I remember,
it's crazy.
Remember the Renegade Rampage that we had?
Yeah, the snuff that was.
Yes, and Redman. I still got the jackets from Redman.
So we couldn't tell in world class what the fuck you guys were doing, because one week we would have a Renegades Rampage ring that would be up at the Sportatorium. We would go in next Friday night and there'd be a Redman up with Starburst logo ring aprons.
Yeah.
And then the next week we would have one that looked like the Memphis TV ring.
Yeah.
And then we would have a Renegades Rampage again.
The pink one, Beauty and the Beast.
That was the Beauty and the Beast shit. That was that Terrence Garvin and Renee Goulet. Not Renee Goulet.
Yes, Renee is the one that set up the match with Dutch.
What's his name, Scotty? What's his name, Scotty? He was the Gouline, House of Gouline. That was who.
Yes.
He set the match up with Jeff.
Mark Gouline. That's who it was.
Yeah.
Mark Gouline and Terry Garvin.
He set the match up with Jeff and Dutch, which is in the Smithsonian Institute, where they wrestled to an orchestra.
Orchestra?
Yeah, Lonesome Pine Specials. Yes.
You shot that.
Remember.
Oh, shit. Now that's
Lonesome Pine. Yeah, Lonesome Pine Special. I remember them doing that. I didn't go. I had to be rushed to the hospital about 2 hours before Daddy had to leave. I had been on the road with Dad, and I didn't drink enough. I become dehydrated. My stepmom run me to the hospital. Dad went and did the thing, with the referee where the ring came up out of the floor.
Yeah. Your dad is in the Smithsonian Institution, dude.
Yes.
Fuck out of here, Scotty.
Yes, that was. I remember. Look, we did that, and it was just a few days after I got feeling better. Jerry booked the show at the prison in Kentucky, LaGrange. Dutch wrote about that.
Dutch had it in his book.
We almost had a riot there, man, because it was Dundee, and Dutch, and you had the Fantastics, and I think Tommy Rogers throws Dutch or Bill Dundee into the ropes, and he does the sunset flip, but he pulls the trunks down. Man, those prisoners came up. Dude, we got some hot water when they got back there. Those guards said, "You guys ever do that again?"
So you can't do a fuck finish in front of a prison like that.
Mm-hmm. And they really loved Jeff. They said, "Jeff, you have pretty hair."
Hey.
And hey. Dutch said, "How in the hell did I get booked at a prison?"
Scotty, how many other fucking podcasts get to say they're talking to a dude whose dad is in the Smithsonian? Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Just one other, and that'd be the Jeff Jarrett podcast.
That's
Dad's
correct.
in their wife. This is Memorial Day. I don't know if you guys saw or not, but Al Carpenter. Well, my dad was in the Navy.
Oh yeah.
He was on Independence. His flight guy came and said, "Hey, I'm gonna take it for a flight." He got in the jet, and he got too close. Al got his wing shot, and of course he ejected. He said, "When I ejected, it broke my hip."
Oh, fuck
By the time I hit the ocean, they were on me. He said they were on me, pulling me, taking me as prisoner. Dad's back on the ship in the Navy waiting. He's up on the ladder waiting for that jet. They look up at you and they say, "Come down." You know what? He's not coming back.
Yeah.
All right. When my mom and dad's house burnt, a lot of his stuff, his duffel bag got burnt. I got on the internet, got to looking at some Navy stuff. I got Dad some of his patches back. He looks down, he said, "Al Carpenter, POW, California, North Carolina, calls." The lady says, "Yes." He said, "Is this Al Carpenter's wife he's been in the Navy?" She said, "Yes, he's asleep right now. Can I ask who's calling?" He said, "This is Paul Neighbors. I was his." He said, "Hello?" She said, "Hold on. I'm going to wake him up. He has been waiting for years to talk to you."
Oh, wow.
Dude, does that not give you chills?
That's crazy, dude.
He goes there and they talked to him. He told him about each camp that they took him to. So the Smithsonian, the TV show that comes on, I think it's called Sundays. It's like a news show.
Yeah.
Got a hold of Al. The Smithsonian said, "Would you donate your prisoner of your outfit?"
Prisoner
and
award?
he did. Yeah. And it's in the Smithsonian.
Shit.
You go on and you Google
shit.
Al Carpenter prisoner, you'll see what he wore, 4 years?
Yeah, bro. That dude, I'm telling you, man, those fucking people went through
some gave all, brother.
Shit, man. They went through some shit, brother. You talk about paying a fucking price, dude. I live around the corner from a guy. His name is Colonel Mo Baker, and he was in the Hanoi Hilton for 7.5 years. He's now 95 years old, and he was in there with Steve Kern's dad. He called Steve Kern's dad Pop. Pop, it was his second time to be a fucking prisoner of war. And Mo tells stories, man, about the way those POWs communicated and the way they used this knock system.
Mm-hmm.
And how they were able to do some shit, Scotty, that, those were some tough ass men.
Yes.
That were these POWs, man. And they definitely deserve our respect and our admiration.
Absolutely.
For what they did. Because I mean, I'm not calling anybody names, but the pussies of today, there's just no way that they could do what those guys did. Those were strong men.
If you ever see those little old men walking around in their Vietnam or World War II era hats, those are the badasses. Stay away from them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You ain't shit. Those are the badasses.
That's what you say. Thank you. Thank you.
Damn right.
Yes, sir.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Because those guys, dude, look, those guys had more stud in their pinky than I have in my entire body. You understand what I'm saying? Those guys were studs.
Those guys. He would tell me, I would look at his books, of the initiations and stuff that you had to go through to get, oh my gosh. And then he's like, here I'm in Miami, but then they send us to New York. And when we get off the boat, he goes, we're being spit on. He said, my duffel bag is thrown and I have to go find my duffel bag. He goes, we ain't welcome back home. He goes, dude, we got on that bus and they sent us all the way. He said, I got off in Nashville. He said, my mom was there to pick him up. They were dating. And then everybody went to wherever their bus, took them to home. But he said, man, just think that, man, coming back and the people are
against you. I mean, people are against you that you're there to fucking give your life for.
And he's like, what are you doing with my duffel bag? Go get it,
How fucked up does society have to be? I mean, these people, police officers, literally will jump in front of a gunman for you, motherfucker. That's what they do.
Don't get it. They don't get it.
These war heroes.
It's also coincidentally when all that was happening, all they're coming home and getting spit on and being called baby killers and not Americans. It's funny how most of your major motorcycle organizations started up right after that, and most of them were started by former military members because they wanted a place to where they could all come together and just be a part of something again.
Talk about what had happened because they understood.
Motorcycle clubs were never a bad thing, in my opinion. They were never a bad thing because they were kind of society's police force. Okay. Mm-hmm. They did not mess with you. They did not bother you. They didn't have anything to do with you. They didn't hurt you, but they would damn sure protect your property and they would damn sure protect your rights. And if you left them alone and didn't bother them, they were perfectly fine. It's the same with the banditos. It's the same with the cross acts. It's the same with all these MC clubs. The problem is the news in Hollywood began to turn it into this thing after that.
What they wanted.
Deal at the racetrack, Altamont.
Laughlin.
Altamont. It was Altamont with the Hells Angels. And all of a sudden, now they're this and now they're that. I'll tell you, man, they just leave them the fuck alone. They were their own society. And if you left them alone, just like the mafia, New York City's a shithole. Yeah. And the reason it's a shithole is because the mafia is not policing it anymore like they did back in the day. Yeah.
We'll return after these messages.
Step inside the Neutral Corner Lounge, grab a drink and pull up a chair. You might know the faces and you definitely know the names, but you don't know the real story. Welcome to Beyond Wrestling, hosted by me, Robb Helt. Every episode, we sit down with some of the biggest and even smallest personalities in the business. But there's a catch. We leave the squared circle at the door. We're not talking about angles, road trips, title runs, anything like that. We're talking about real life. I try to give you the person behind the persona. We dive into their hidden passions, their off-the-clock lives, and what actually makes them tick when the cameras stop rolling and the boots come off. If you want to know who these people are, who they are when they aren't playing a character, this is the only place to be. Subscribe to Beyond Wrestling with Robb today on YouTube or your preferred podcast platform. Find all the great content we provide here at Jackson Media Creations at retrowrestlingarchive.club. Step into the lounge, grab a drink, we'll save you a seat.
Hey everybody, I'm Gene Jackson and I want to introduce you to the Retro Wrestling Archive Podcast Network and the great pro wrestling nostalgia podcast we bring, including the Retro Wrestling Review Series covering the USWA, Memphis Power Pro Wrestling, Continental Championship Wrestling, and we've just added World Class Championship Wrestling, and now ECW. Plus, great interview shows like Beyond Wrestling with Robb Helt, where the stories go beyond the ring. Then there's Dangerous Conversations with the legendary Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. Plus, don't miss special live streams like Live from the Archive and Arc of an Angle. And the Retro Wrestling Archive Network is growing. We're proud to feature the affiliate shows like STS Pod, The Hang, Classic Pro Wrestling Talk, Get Your Bell Rung, and even more great shows are coming soon. If that's not all, join the Retro Wrestling Archive Patreon for exclusive bonus content, early podcast releases, special extras, and access to a Google Drive that is absolutely busting at the seams with territory wrestling history, including our legendary Memphis Mega Folder. Podcast, interviews, watch-alongs, live streams, YouTube, Patreon, territory wrestling history. It's all waiting for you at RetroWrestlingArchive.club, where we're preserving pro wrestling history daily. Don't just remember it, relive it.
You know, and me being in music, you know, local, doing videos of bands and stuff, I've at least 3 or 4 shows a year that I do is from the motorcycles who is putting on a benefit of someone who has fallen, someone that they know is sick and they need money, you know, and brother, I'm there.
You can offer me for protection or whatever, because or you can offer me for a benefit, but there's got to be people. You can give me the National Guard as protection. You can give me an option of all the local and county and state police forces as protection. Or you can give me a well-patched biker group. I'm taking the bikers all fucking day long. All day.
Because those guys,
they're family people, man. They believe they have values.
Yeah.
And they're not.
You treat them.
Yes.
They're not going to.
You treat them with respect. Yeah.
That's it. That's all they ask for.
Yep.
You know, and they want you to get up there and cut up with them. Don't be afraid they will cut up with you. And it's just, that's
know
it.
Your role. Know your role, though. Know
it.
your fucking role and know where you are and who you're around.
Dutch Mantel says, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane and know your role, brother.
If you don't know who the sucker is when you sit down at a poker table, you're it.
That's you.
When you go in a room, you know that you're probably the mark. So just be cool and kind of go from there. You know? Hey, I wanted to ask you something, Paul.
Yeah.
We're shooting this on Monday. It's Memorial Day. And I was just Saturday. I'm in Burleson, Texas, south of Fort Worth. And there was a show here. And a guy I used to know that was a wrestler for many years, starting back in the early 90s, wrestled in Tulsa for a long time. He was going to be here. He knew I lived here. And he said, hey, man, let's hook up. They're having a little benefit show. When I got to the building, and there's a ton of people already in the building, but they're in different parts of the building. They're not in the gymnasium of the building. Okay. And I get there, and they've got the ring set up. I walk in, and I grab Steven, who wrestled as Dexter Hardaway, and I grab him, and I kind of spin him around. We give each other a big hug, and I pull him aside, and I pull him to the corner, and we're talking, and I'm watching, and people are in the ring, and dude, there's moms and dads, there's kids running around, there's fucking people in there trying to do spots. They're trying to figure out what their spots are going to be for the night and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, we had just talked a couple days earlier prior to that, and I thought to myself, Paul, this never went on back in your day, did it? Tell me how,
brother. Kayfabe.
That ring went up. How kayfabe was it?
You know, what we would do is if there was some kids who were there and they would help us set up the ring, we never had a problem about letting them get up there and bumping around, having a good time, do what they want to. They've been in a wrestling ring. Now they could go tell mama, man, I went in a wrestling ring, me and so. But when we closed that door, you wasn't coming back in because that was sacred. The door was closed. The guys were coming in, were arriving, and if they had to do something, you weren't coming in. It was. I remember
being at the sportatorium. I sat in Section D, and so I was in D, row 3. And so I loved that spot because when the Von Erichs would come and other people would come out, I was able to get down the aisle real quick and get around to that side of the apron to get the autographs, because at that time the Sportatorium would let us go up to the ring. I'd never had that experience in Nashville.
No.
They didn't let us do it at the Myriad in Oklahoma City for UWF. They didn't let us do it for World Class in Lawton, Oklahoma, but they let us do it at the Sportatorium. And I always remember getting up next to the ring and when I could be first, and I would always reach up and grab the ropes and feel what they felt like. And I always felt the turnbuckle, but I could see this big metal screw thing inside that turnbuckle.
Yes.
And then the part of the ring that I was touching was the metal frame.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, holy shit, this is really like, this is legit.
Yeah.
And that was the closest I ever got to a wrestling ring.
The first time I set one up, I was like, this? He goes, yeah. And so I'm seeing the metal, the frame of it. And then we start bringing we bring the spider, lay it down. That's going to hook up to all 4 corners. And then here comes the plywood. And then you've got more plywood. And then you've got 2 pieces of carpet. And then you've got the mat.
So your ring had two layers of plywood. Because I remember the one that I got trained in, it was the metal frame, and then we had square tubing. We had 1-inch square tubing that went one way, and then we'd have tubing that go the other way, and then you'd put your wood on like a little ledge at the top.
I remember the ring being 2x12s, and they set in 2x12 boards.
Yes, the 2x12 would go all the way, and we had now different rings that had bars. The Nashville ring had the long bars that went all the way across. We had the boards. This is the spot show ring.
I bought a ring from Burt Prentice. I bought a ring from Burt Prentice in 1998 that was the old Low Boy studio ring that he had.
I hated those.
16-footer.
Buddy, that thing, I remember we'd set it up out in the middle of the yard there in Hendersonville and have to paint it. And people coming by and they're like, you see people going by like, a wrestling ring, they'd stop, and what are y'all doing? Well, we got to paint it, and red, white, and blue, or if there was something on with Renegade.
We're going to bump in it. Just stick around.
Just hang on, man. I remember when Redman was giving away all that tobacco. Jerry had Redman chewing tobacco in that office, and it started dwindling. And Jerry comes in. He said, Paul. I said, yeah. He goes, you ain't seen none of my tobacco, have you? He goes, you Redman? He said, yeah. He goes, you go out there and look in your son's truck. Jason. Jason was taking it to school. Oh my gosh. Boy.
Was he selling it?
What he was doing. I don't know. But Jerry boom. That was the maddest I ever saw Jerry Jarrett. And I talk to this day. And I was scared, man. Jerry had 2 ponds on each side. He had one on each side of his driveway that went up to the big house. He had one in the back. And me and Jason would go down there and we would fish after we got, Dad said, hey, I'm done. Y'all go fish. And Jerry had these huge bass and crappie in this thing. I mean, big bass. Well, Jason caught a real big one. He goes up to the maid and shows her, and Miss Kane says, I would like to have it. I could cook that. So Jason comes back down to me on the little golf cart and says, Miss Kane wants this. I said, she wants it. He goes, yeah. He goes, will you help me? I says, I don't know, man. He goes, no, she's going to take it. So he's, Jason's probably 11 years old at the time. I'm 13, 14. I don't. And he starts cutting it and he's butchering it. And I'm like, and he goes, will you help me with this? And I'm like, sure. I go and I start helping him fillet this fish. He takes it up there, and Jerry walks out, and he goes, hey. He goes, where did you get that? He goes, out of the pond. Miss Kane wants it. Who cut it up? You know who he blames? He did. I said, dude, you asked me to help you. I said, you told me dude, Jerry come this close to my face. And he said, if I ever see you fishing in my ponds again, boy, you know, Dad's standing there. And, I mean, Jerry has just given me down the road. Randy Hales remembers it.
He
Randy said,
put all the heat on you.
"Ooh, man!" And I was so upset I couldn't fish the ponds. I could not do nothing but come up there and work because Jerry was mad that that fish got. And I remember Randy Hales goes, "Dude, we were in the office, and he said Jerry was so furious over that fish." I said, "I had nothing to do with it. Jason's the one that asked me to help him." He goes, "Well, next time Jason asks you something, go the other direction because you go." So about a month later, Jason's out there on the four-wheeler, and he's coming up the hill walking, and he says, "Where's your dad? Where's Paul?" I said, "What you want with Daddy?" "I need Uncle Paul." I said, "What?" He goes, "The four-wheeler's in the pond." Bye, buddy. Hey, I ain't getting involved in none of this. I went the other direction.
Oh yeah,
but
you're not.
Dad got it out of there before Jerry found out. So
holy shit. So hey,
stuff that happened up there, man.
Did your dad kayfabe though around your house, around people when he went to the store, stuff like that? Did your dad kayfabe up pretty heavy?
Buddy, that was the thing with Teeny and then back then. You had to shut your mouth and go. Mm-hmm. Buddy, you got coffee, got me in trouble. I didn't cheer for Lawler one night over in Memphis, and I was like, boy, you got Lawler. Ooh. The next morning, Guy Coffee calls Jerry Jarrett and says, "Paul's boy was cheering for my buddy Tony Asney and got me in trouble." You know, and I'm like, "Dude, I was just sitting there, man." And boy, Guy Coffee calls and gets me chewed out.
Lawler,
you know, and Jerry just said, "Tell your son not to cheer for," you know.
Lawler is that insecure at that time that.
Well, I think it was just Guy Coffee. You know, was that yeah, you're Paul's son. You should be, cheering for Lawler and everything. But he didn't know that me and Tony hunted and fished together. And I was just, up there cutting up. And the next day I go up to Jerry's, and Jerry's like telling Dad, you got to tell, Coffee was upset. Like, your boy was cheering for Jerry Lawler, and that doesn't look good for our business. And I'm like, okay, Dad, I must just stay with you. I mean, if it's that bad,
So your dad quits in 94, 95 or whatever. It's only 3 years later, though, in 98 that Randy starts Power Pro. Mm-hmm. You shocked that Randy didn't bring your dad in, or did your dad still at that point?
They didn't have a good relationship. I think at one time, this was when a lot of distrusting was going on. Jerry was in Sanibel on vacation. Randy was in Jerry's office running things, and every morning Randy would call Lawler, "Hey, King, what's going on, King? How you doing, King? What are we going to do today, King?" And Dad's like, "Dude, you better call Jerry and make sure to run it by Jerry, cuz before y'all, And I think it just Dad looking out for Jerry Jarrett, his cuz, and Randy trying to run things by not bothering cuz and just going on with the flow with what Lawler was. And I think that Randy Hale said my daddy tried to get him fired, but it didn't work. But I don't remember Dad trying to get, I think he was more looking out for Jerry, because there was a lot of distrusting with Lawler and Jerry at that time. I remember it was just, it didn't feel good in the dressing room.
I do know that I talked to Randy about 2 hours ago, and I said, "Hey, I'm about to go sit down with Paul Neighbors." And he said, "Tell Paul I said hello." And it was very cordial. There didn't seem like there were heat between.
We've never had, I've always, if I had footage or if I had old pictures, which I've got a bunch on my Facebook, I said, "Randy, you're welcome to any of them that my grandmother had." Matter of fact, Todd Camp, that's got I just got a watch sold to him from a friend of mine. The watch has Jackie Fargo's picture on it.
Yeah, we saw it online. I saw him. He's the kayfabe.
He wanted it so bad, and I thought, you know what? A lot of people will see this more than if I had it, and I know it means more to him. So I told her, I said, he's a good guy. He has a museum I'm sure there'll be a lot of people. And I think Lawler may have drew the picture of Jackie
I'm sure
on it.
that's a Lawler drawing.
He wanted it, but the guy that I was working with Lawler, I had a bad feeling because I didn't know the guy. All I heard was Lawler wants it. Where do we need to go? Who do I need to call? I want it now. And
so
I'm
does
like,
Lawler have it?
And so I backed away from this guy and I said, Todd, go and get the watch. If Lawler wants it, he'll come to you and you can, y'all might work out a deal. It's about like the Jerry Jarrett boots. Mark James, I said, Mark, I know that you would do something with these boots and they, take care of them. My time of life right now. And he was like, yeah, I'm fixing to write books for Jerry. And next thing I know, I found out Mark is, sold them to someone. They didn't mean that much to him. He sold them to someone. And so when Deborah came to me at the funeral and said, hey, do you still have Jerry's boots? And I said, no. I said, Mark James, who did his books, who wrote the books, has those. And then we found out that Mark sold them.
I think we've kind of flushed something out here. I think we've kind of figured out how come you had heat in Memphis while you were there trying to wrestle. But you're killing that damn fish on his pond. That's what happened to you right there.
He held that from 86 till when I was young, man. And I just remember my dad standing there and Jerry had bought a place for everyone, for the family to hunt in Bethpage, Tennessee. I loved it. I loved hunting, but I remember first time going up there, I get up on a ridge, Jerry goes to his place, and I know Jerry has to be tired because, he's his mind, so he's probably just going up there to relax. And Jason's getting to learn to deer hunt. Jerry falls asleep. He wakes up, and there's a bobcat sniffing Jerry's nose. Oh, Jerry opens his eyes up. Jerry screams. The bobcat screams and takes off. Didn't attack him. What? Took off. Jerry jumps up and comes back to camp. And I don't think Jerry did too much hunting after that.
No, that'd be the end of it for me too. Yeah, I'm done.
I was like, wow, man, that would have had to.
Fuck you, dude. Bobcats are not to be fucked with.
We used to look. So you had Thomas Marlin, who worked for the prison. I think after he refereed for so many years, you had Eddie up there and me, and we would take this plastic wrap and put it around a barn to keep the air from coming in and kind of rough it, because that's what Jerry wanted to do. And Jeff would come up there, and he had just come to live with Jerry. And so Jeff's starting to bulk a little bit, getting him some, and he would eat a whole dozen of boiled eggs and throw the yellow away.
Right. He just wants the egg whites.
Buddy, there's no way a deer would come 100 yards from him. He stunk so bad. Dude, I said, man, get away from me, man. He would just laugh.
It would come out through his sweat pores.
Man, he'd go, Jerry would put him in the best stand. He said, son, did you get anything? Didn't see nothing, Daddy. You didn't see nothing? He said, no. He said, I took 2 apples with me. And he over eating apples, man. And Jeff got me sick really bad one night. He gave me like 3 different tobacco. And me and Jeff were sitting up there, and he's like, try Hawking, try RJ Gold, try this. And next thing you know, I'm green.
Wait, tobacco. Are we talking real tobacco, or are we air quoting tobacco? Because
tobacco. Because
the adult tobacco.
Was a big dipper. Jerry and my dad both dipped. So me and Jeff, Dad, and so Jeff's up there. He's like, "Hey, try some of this." And I'm like, "All right, well, try this." And I was like, all right. "Oh, I'm sick. Oh, I'm sick." And Jerry and Dad come back, and they're like, "What's wrong with him?" And Jeff's laughing. He knew what he'd done. Oh, I was so sick that night.
Hey, I do have a quick question about your childhood, right fast. With you basically having a front seat to Memphis wrestling, getting to go all these shows with your dad and what have you. Who was your favorite wrestler, and why was it Eddie Gilbert?
Oh,
I'm
I
going to
never met
object.
Eddie,
I'm going to
man.
object as your counsel, Paul. I'm going to object and move to strike. I want you to change that question just a little bit. You don't need to lead the witness at all. Okay. All right, Scotty, you're going to get us canceled. Who was your favorite? His question was this, Paul. Having seen all of those shows with your dad, who in Memphis was your favorite wrestler and why was it Buddy Landell?
Oh, Lord. I was waiting for you to say Billy Joe Travis, so that was even better.
Dude, Billy Joe Travis. Oh my God, that guy. Paul.
My wife
Paul.
and my mother-in-law.
Say, Paul, we're friends. Be careful what you say right now. It's very important. What are you going to say about Billy Joe Travis? Go ahead.
He sucks. That's what you're going to say.
Billy and my mother-in-law. You know, I met my wife at Louisville Gardens. Okay.
Yeah. You were a rat.
When we got married, I didn't know a woman could have so many pictures of one wrestler.
Hold on, Paul. Were you a rat? Were you a rat, Paul?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I says, how many pictures of Billy does your mom have? He said, Billy was so close to me. I said, okay. Hey, I had 2 jackets of Billy's.
Tell me about Billy. You obviously know more than we do. You got to tell me about.
I told you, man.
Travis.
Billy Joe was scared of snakes. I can tell you that. We could bring a snake. Daddy caught a snake up at Jerry's farm and brought it to Evansville. We had the guys, the Green Hornet, I think his name was, and he was a big old guy. And we had him hold the door. So when Dad goes in, he takes the lid off, and he takes the black racer out, and he goes up to Billy. He said, Billy? He goes, yeah, Paul. He goes, what do you feed this thing? Billy got to that door. He took us all down. He got through the door. And if Chris Champion had that boa constrictor or what he had out, Billy wouldn't go in the dressing room. Same with Gypsy Joe. Gypsy Joe was scared of snakes.
I've got friends who'll tell you a story. We're playing disc golf. I'm an avid disc golfer. I live on a disc golf course. And so we're out playing one day and some dude has a rubber copperhead and he throws that sumbitch on the tee box behind me as I get done with my swing. So I turn to walk off the tee box. I swear to God, I do the best crossbody block into them that you've ever fucking seen.
Coming through, brother. You're coming through.
They've got it on video, but you don't really see anything but me going flying into the camera and the camera going boom, 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 boom down on the ground. Because if I get bit, they're all getting bit with me.
We would wait till Gypsy went to sleep on the bus to Dallas when he was doing the El Pistolero gimmick and put a rubber snake on him. Oh, my gosh. You talking about coming unglued? Gypsy did not like it.
But at some point, does he get wise to the gimmick or does he sell it
well,
more
he's
than
asleep, man. So, and Gypsy's been hitting the head, man. He just, what a fucking snake, and then snake goes up in the air. And
that's what I'm going to do to you, Scotty. If you ride shotgun with me and we go to Memphis, I'm going to throw a fucking snake on you while you're just to see.
We would do stuff like that, man.
Hey, man, you know what? Everybody asks this shit, but you never go on any podcast. Tell me, dude, you had to be around some classic ribs, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me something you can tell me.
My favorite wrestler in Memphis, you asking
Steve
Kern. Steve Kern.
Oh, scared.
Can you defend that? Can you defend it?
Steve just, to me, looked like you didn't want to mess with him. And in the dressing room.
That's no bullshit.
He, because Jerry was booking them. So, and it was like, dude, you guys are going against these sheep herders every night. Jonathan Boyd and Rip Morgan, those guys used to really go in the ring. And I remember thinking,
Jonathan Boyd was no fucking joke, dude.
He would knock Dad
fuck out of you.
Yeah.
He knocked Dad on how many times because when Dad was refereeing, there goes Dad. I knew who hit him. It was either Boyd or Morgan. Usually it was Boyd. But I just remember thinking, Stan, he got it, but Steve just seemed like he had a form that he could use, and just the way he was just.
Paul, you are giving me very valid points about Steve Keirn, 100%. But the points you are giving me about Steve Keirn, I don't know where my tag team partner stands. I haven't talked to him about this. Steve's name has not come up. But I'm going to say what you're mentioning right now with Mr. Keirn, whose dad Dick we should celebrate today, who was a prisoner of war twice in World War II and in the Hanoi Hilton. That tough son of a bitch went back for more. How tough was he?
Okay, so if he had those genes in him, brother.
Exactly. So I'm not taking Dick away from Steve Keirn, but I am saying for you to claim he's your favorite in Memphis wrestling, you've still got him with Stan, though.
Yeah.
You haven't given him to us without Stan. Can he stand the test of time on his own?
When he came back and they had him and Lawler work.
89. 91?
I didn't know.
91.
I'd heard what had happened
91. Okay.
When the Fabs left. I'd heard, that what had happened between Steve and Lawler. And, and Memphis was good about taking real heat and like Dundee and Lawler.
See, I don't know what happened between Steve and Lawler. I'm not smartened up to that. Scotty, you know the story?
I don't know that one.
Well, the Fabs were white hot, just like, they were really. Steve's wife was having the baby. And Steve went to Lawler in Louisville and said, "Hey, Bubba, can I, instead of being the main event, can we go on, do our match so I can get home, get to the hospital? My child's being born." And Lawler said no. He said, "Lawler, look, man," he goes, "I want a beer for my kid, man." And Lawler said, "No."
What year is this? What year is this? Is this 84?
This was the first time they left. So this was 84. Yeah. And so Steve said, "I quit." He goes, "You'll get fired." He goes, "You're not going to fire me because I quit." And so he went back there and Stan goes, "What are you doing?" And Steve said, I'm leaving." He goes, "If I cannot go and see my wife who's having my child and bump up our match, and that man will not swap with me, for one night, I don't need this job." He said, "We'll go somewhere else." So, of course, they left. Got a phone call from Jerry, told Jerry Jarrett what happened. Jerry said, "I understand, but you got to understand it's Lawler. He owns this business too. I'm going to have to do something to punish you. I'm going to send you to Minnesota, AWA. You guys go for a while."
That's how they ended up with Vern. Okay.
Yes, that's why and then they came back. Yeah. Jerry had to do something to appease Lawler over.
So, but
Steve Buckton.
I can see Jerry. I can only see Jerry's point from a selfish point of view of how am I going to explain now that the Fabs aren't here or that they're going on? Why can we say this is happening? We cannot tell them that Steve Keirn's wife is having a baby.
Yeah.
Because we would lose the entire ringside.
Then why not just jump him before the show starts and then stretcher him out? Then he's got a reason not to be there.
Lawler's ego. Lawler doesn't want to.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's exactly why. Lawler doesn't want any more sympathy on anybody else except him.
Yeah, and especially those picture sales, really, when they were selling more pictures than Lawler and making all this money, I mean, they were just wild.
Lawler seems to me like that type of person. My dad would tell me about this type of person I had to look out for was the type of person that wanted you to do good, but not better than them.
It's called gatekeepers.
They want you to do good, but not better than them. You know what I mean?
One of the things that I get some flack from some of the guys is that Lawler made Memphis. Lawler made Jerry. Lawler built that house. Bill Dundee built that house. Jerry, the Fabs even said they built that house. But you got to understand one thing: the man that backed away from Nick Goulas, put on his jacket and drove to those studios, drove to the gardens, went out, knocked on doors and said, hey, I'm starting by myself. I'm not with Nick.
That's Jerry Jarrett.
I got my guy that I want. I think Jerry Lawler's going to be my guy. I want to book him. I want to push him. I want him to be here in Rupp Arena. And I'm going to make him look as invincible as I can. And he did. And they're saying, oh, no, without Jerry Jarrett and without that Memphis TV WMC, but there wouldn't be no Jerry Lawler. Nick wasn't going to push Jerry Lawler. Mm-mm. Georgia wouldn't push Jerry Lawler. Florida sure as hell wasn't going to make him the king. So Jerry Jarrett made Memphis. Fabs didn't make Memphis. Jerry Jarrett sold a farm he already had to get the money to build that big house he had up there. Plus, he worked with one of the Fullers. It's all in his book how he built that house. We built that house. No, he gave you a place to build that house. I mean, to make money. He gave you a place to wrestle and make yourself famous. I ain't taking a daggum thing away from Lawler. One of the greatest wrestlers to ever come here. But you can't say he made Memphis. You don't have a place to wrestle. You don't have TV. You don't have coverage without Jerry Jarrett. The man who went and knocked on doors and made some phone calls and said, hey, I'm not with Nick. You want to give me TV time? You want to let me run my wrestling here? I guarantee you I can bring better than what Nick has.
He gambled everything.
Okay.
He gambled everything, dude.
He did.
Gambled everything.
He could have failed. Popo tried it. Randy, was it ICW or IWA? Randy tried. And when it didn't work, Jerry calls him, or Randy calls Jerry, and brother, I'm going broke. I'm going against you with my ICW wrestling, and it's not working. What does Jerry Jarrett say? I can't blame you. You're your own man. You're trying to run a business. Come on back. And Randy's like, what? He said, come on back. We'll do you and Lawler start at it again. You mean after I left you and tried to start my own promotion, you want me to come back? Jerry says, I can't fault the man for trying to better himself. You tried. It didn't work. But come on back. We'll both make money.
Weird. That's something weird about the wrestling business, Scotty. Get this shit. So, I've been in a few law firms and around a few places in my career. And one of the things that you discover is once you leave a place, you're not fucking going back. I mean, it's just not happening. And I mean, and you leave there on good terms, right? I mean, you leave the firm on good terms. You're just going to
he was giving Jerry their whole TV shows were about Jerry Lawler.
Hang on, Paul. But hang on. So you can't go back to this place, even if you left on good terms. You could fucking Austin Idol and not fucking show up, and they would still use you. You could have fucked the promoter's wife, and they would still use you and probably turn that into an angle. I mean, this is the weirdest
you both make money
business ever.
Yes.
One simple reason. If you can make money, I can work with you. I don't care what you did in the past.
That's it.
That's the weirdest thing for me, because I feel like this. Let's say I'm a worker, which I am not. Okay. Scotty is a worker. Scotty's been around the business and done his deal, dude. So Scotty's a real worker. I'm not. Let's say I am. And let's say that Scotty and I have this heat that I owe Scotty $100 and I, pissed in his Cheerios and I talk shit about him and he's got real fucking live heat with me. But yet I get to a show at NWA School for the Blind and Deaf and we're going to main event this show. And I now have to work with him. This kind of shit existed in pro wrestling. And Scotty, who's a pro, and me, who's a pro, we put all that shit aside. Yeah. And I have a chance to beat the fuck out of you. And you have a chance to beat the fuck out of me. And you don't do it. Now, you got heat when you come back. You still got heat when you come back. We're not going to get a beer together. We're not going out in the parking lot.
It's a business.
I'm
It's a
not
business.
worried about bumps and bruises. You start breaking stuff, it's a different story. We can
Yeah,
go out
yeah.
there and have it out and get all of our shit out while we can. Just don't break none.
Classic Lawler and Dundee. You're going to give me a stiff one, I'm going to give it back.
You
But
guys
we're going to make money.
Do you not agree? Now, let me I'm going to ask you this, both of you. I got to ask it. And I'm going to answer mine first. All right, here it is. The best match. Not angle, not any. Best fucking match you have ever seen. You are going to be on a deserted island, and the only thing you have to watch ever for the rest of eternity is this one match. What match is it? Mine is Lawler Dundee, loser leave town 83. That is the best fucking match I've ever seen in my life, and I have seen some dandies. Paul.
I have to agree with you. It kept, even young me watching that, it kept you on your edge of your seat.
That fucking finish when Lawler uppercuts him from the corner on the bull run and Lawler hits him with that uppercut. By God, you can't tell me he didn't catch Dundee right fucking there. Right there. He fucking caught him. And I mean, dude, Scotty, what is yours? What's your
Flair Funk, I quit. Flair Funk, I quit.
Nashville?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's a tough one, dude. That's a oh boy. Oh boy. I didn't think about that.
Just the setup where, Funk comes away from the announcer's table and puts the bag around Flair's head. Just to kick it off with it, to kick it off with almost a damn near murder, and then go from there.
There's a lot of homage to Memphis in that fucking match too. The fucking bag over the head was a Fuller gig before Terry ever did it. Right. The second is the pile driver through the fucking table. That's going back to Rick Morton and Randy Savage.
Yes.
And
where he had the hole, he went straight through the middle.
Yeah. They went straight through. Well, the blue one that he broke in Memphis. I'm 7 years old sitting there wearing my freaking Don Johnson Miami Vice looking jacket standing next to my grandfather, dude. And I'm front row. You can see it on the Wrestling Gold video. I still look the same. Shit, the nose is still the same size. I just picture
different glasses.
Picture me with blonde hair and no glasses. Hell, back then. And I'm standing there, and dude, that shit scared the fuck out of me because that thing sounded like a gun went off, and that table was not gimmicked. Oh, fuck.
You got it back in the dressing room.
Nobody saw that shit except you, Paul. We had to see it on tapes or we had to be there live. I happened to be there live with my granddaddy that night.
That was, I've seen, when they had the barbed wire match. No, it was before we went to Cage. Jerry had
the chicken wire cage. The chicken wire cage. That's the Randy Savage, Jerry Lawler cage.
Yes, and we're at the fairgrounds, and it's the Fabs and the sheep herders. And when they ran Steve's head, a piece of the wire went up in his. And I remember, here come the ambulance. They couldn't get Steve to quit bleeding. The ambulance came and they finally got Steve to quit bleeding. It hit a bad spot. I remember at the fairgrounds.
Were you around at the fairgrounds the night that Coco and Kern had the fight?
Was not. I've heard about it.
Yeah.
That
was in the room that had the wooden door. Remember the one that had the plywood wooden door? Apparently it happened in there.
That's if it did happen, I was probably ushering somebody to the seat or something. I don't know. But I heard about that.
Man, well, it sounds like Coco's been in a few fights back in the day.
Coco didn't give a shit, dude. Coco was like Dundee. Coco was small, dude, like Dundee. He didn't give a shit. He's going to fight you anyway.
You remember Joey Maggs?
Yeah.
Yep.
Jumping Joey Maggs.
Was it Joey and, oh gosh, Pat Rose and Sherry Martel in Memphis at the same time?
No. That was the Heavenly Bodies. That was Tom Pritchard, Pat Rose, and Sherry Martel. Joey Maggs wasn't around till the late 90s. Is that right, Scotty? That's your time period.
Yeah,
Well,
it was a.
It was in Memphis,
Which-
and I remember they brought her and Pat Rose and her were making out, and there was a black girl. I thought it was Joey Miles. But anyway, we're going
Well,
home.
I think Joey Maggs first started in Memphis. He was Joseph Magliano, so you might be right.
Well, he's
What year is
riding.
this though? Because this is 85. I'm talking about this is 85.
This had to be around 87, 88, 89.
I know
I'd say
that's-
89. That's before, I
89.
think, I'm not sure if Sherry had went to WWE yet.
Yeah, Sherry had, I don't remember. So she's making out with Pat Rose for real?
There was one on TV. They was doing angle with her. But anyway, we're coming, and she's riding with Pat, and I thought it was Joey, but
Maybe.
we're
It may
riding
be.
down the road, and Donna, as Dad's driving, Donna's in the middle, Donna Bowers, and I'm in the passenger side. And all of a sudden, you hear this car pull up beside us, beep, beep, beep. And, we're in the ring truck, and the window comes down, and you see nothing but ass cheeks come out the window. Donna was asleep. Okay. So Joey thought it was funny. I thought it was Joey, man, but I may be wrong. But the next night we're in Nashville, and Dad's already got revenge. So I thought it was Joey. Comes up and he said, "Hey, Paul." He goes, "What'd y'all think about that moon last night? Y'all got a full moon, did you?" "Yeah, brothers, that was funny." I said, "I don't think Donna thought it was too funny." "What are you talking about?" He said, "Donna Bowers, she works for Teeny. Teeny's her boss." He said, "I think she was going to tell her about what you did. So there's your line." And Dad said, "No, man." He goes, "She looked over and she about got sick." She said, "I've never seen anybody do something like that." Oh, gosh. Well, I think it's on a Thursday at the fairgrounds. Teeny comes around with the paychecks. And she says, "Hey, can you go in there and get Joey for me?" I said, "Yeah." When I said, "Joey, Teeny wants you." "Wants me?" "Mm-hmm." "Well, fellas, it's sure been nice knowing y'all." "Yes, Miss Jarrett." She said, "Honey, I just want to say thank you. Here's your paycheck for this week. We'll see you next week." You mother. He thought it was going to be his pink slip. It was his paycheck. We had him. He got back there. He goes, "I thought it was going to be a peach." He goes, "This is my paycheck." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I didn't say nothing." And Donna was asleep. He said, "Now, if she would have been awake, she probably would have said something."
Dude, you know what led to that story, right, Scotty? About if Teeny finds something out. Have you heard the story about Teeny and Tojo Yamamoto?
Oh,
I probably have, but I've heard so many, I probably forgot it.
It's the one that they're at the fairgrounds in Nashville, or they're at Louisville. I don't know which one. They're at Louisville, or it may have been Louisville. And apparently there's a fan out there and there's a couple of chicks there. And so Tojo's looking through the curtain or whatever. And Tojo's calling, "Hey, stinky pussy. Hey, stinky pussy." Stuff like that. And Teeny walks around the corner while he's doing it. And apparently he turns around. Teeny's like, "Tojo." And of course, the blood rushes out of his face. He's turning white because it's Teeny. And like, she gives him the business in front of the boys. And the boys are like, "Yeah, no, shit, no." So
She used to grab her underneath that chin.
Dude, if it would have been anybody but Tojo, they would have been fired right then on the spot.
Tojo's back there. And he's saying, Kojo's got that stick. And so he's like, "Stinky, you stinky." He goes, "You eat up with syphilis. You eat up with syphilis." He'd be like, "Yeah." And I know the girl that he was talking to. And
because y'all used to all hang out around the outside before the matches, right?
And boy, she got Buddy Landale for spitting in the ring. Buddy had a bad habit about spitting.
That was in Nashville, and the fans knew something, because if you'll remember, he was teaming with Bill at that point when he did it. Yes. He spit that shit in the ring, And I remember everybody thought at first, I was like, holy crap, he's bleeding. And when he got out of the ring, Bill kept going to the dressing room. Timmy grabbed him by the arm and pulled him back over to that other area where the office was.
Yes.
You knew some shit had went down because she was hot.
He said, if you ever spit in my ring again, she said, how would you like to roll around in that and someone else spit? Oh, she was, oh my God. And then she got Bill, because Bill had a bad habit of when he would get finished with the mic at the fairgrounds, he would throw it. Well, 3 Saturdays in a row of breaking that mic, costing Teeny $60 each time, she came in there and she said, Bill, the rest of you boys, I fixed that microphone out there 3 times. Electrolux has fixed it. It's $60 every time. If one of you dare throw that tonight, you will not be working here no more. Dude, that microphone got laid down or handed back to Jimmy Smith. They handed it back to him.
You know, Randy, when I was interviewing Randy earlier, Randy pulled out the original ring used microphone for Louisville for all those years that Lance used. He has it on his desk.
Really?
And dude, it's like, that's a piece of history, man. That stuff is so hard to come by and all that. Well, I'll tell you what, man, this has been fun, man. We've been on here for a couple hours. I appreciate you coming on and tagging in, Scotty. I just wanted to get Paul on here and get some stories. And, man, we're going to have to do it again because there's so much more to talk about. And I know the USWA guys right now, Gene and those guys, they're doing every week of the USWA right now. They're in 1991, and I believe they're in September of 91. Your dad is heavily involved in 93. They're going to go
dog catchers.
They're going to go 91, 92, and then they're going to skip and go to 94 because they started with 93. Why? There's a story behind it, but I don't remember the story. Scott,
we had a poll. We had a poll.
And a poll
is what it was. Gene put a poll up on the page, and we either started with 90, 91, 92, or 93. And so everybody voted on 93, and then on further reflection, they went and looked back at 1990, and most of the 1990 stuff was the cross between that and Dallas, so nobody has a lot of them tapes. So it'd be very hard to go through a full year when you only have like 14 weeks of a 52-week year.
Do you guys see the booking sheets that I put on every week on Memphis?
I saw one this afternoon. Yeah.
I put them on every week, and I got it for this week in 92, this week in 93. And you see how the booking was towards the end and who was working here. I mean, some of it's Jeff against Shawn Michaels, and Harlem Heat was here. It's really what towns weren't running at that time.
Where are those booking sheets from?
My daddy.
But from what town?
Well, when you got a booking sheet,
it's the whole week, ain't it?
It's the whole week. Okay.
Yeah. And if you had an X in there, you were there. If you weren't, you could be in another time. But you was always in Memphis, Louisville, Evansville. Then if you were in Mississippi or a spot show, which was Jonesboro or Nashville, or if Nashville had the flea market, then you would go to Jonesboro and be in Nashville that following Thursday.
So you're either on the A show or the B show, and they call the B show the buttermilk runs.
Yeah. So
man, that's crazy. Well, we gotta do this again, guys. I'll tell you what. So they've got the USWA going on over there, which is going great. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna get this thing going and let Gene run the outro because I don't know how to do all the buttons and stuff, but I know how to end it. Guys, my name is Robb Helt. This is my partner on the World Class Wrestling show that we've started, Scotty Wentz. He's my co-host, and he tagged in for the man who created all this at Jackson Media Creations, none other than Gene Jackson. And this is Retro Wrestling on the Retro Wrestling Archive Podcast Network, which you can find at retrowrestlingarchive.club. For our guest, Paul Neighbors.
stack of VHS tapes, dusty old newsletters, plastic men in tiny capes, playing old video games. His basement a shrine to the past, the wrestling's glory days forever last. Retro wrestling nerd, he knows every word, every drop kick, every slam. Retro wrestling nerd, yeah, that's his jam. From Memphis to Japan.